Happy New Year. This is Emma. Welcome back to my studio. Finally, I am back. I'm sorry not to have been here. It's been a bit of a journey this last couple of months, and I'm sorry if you've missed me. It's nice if you've missed me. I've certainly missed filming. I've certainly missed being creative. I haven't done anything creative since, I don't know, middle of November or something. Middle of November, something like that. It's been a kind of a saga of different things happening. We had Storm Arwen. I don't know how many of you were affected by Storm Arwen, but we had no power for a few days, and then that led to the boiler being off, and we had a freezing cold house, and my husband wasn't very well, and all sorts of funny things were going on. And after that, my body just said, actually, no, you're not going and doing anything. We have a very quiet Christmas in our house. We don't really go over the top with it. We just kind of I mostly ignore it, to be honest with you. But, you know, those people who love Christmas, that's fine. So we just had this really quiet time, and my body just said, rest, don't do anything. So I've just had a really nice time pottering about, reading books, lying on the sofa, and I feel now that's been really good for me. I did say, I think in my previous video, or the one before, when I was poorly before, that I felt it was time for a reset button, and I certainly feel there's a different energy from last year to this year. I'm certainly feeling much more clear about what I want to do, although I've no idea exactly what I'm going to do. I just feel there's a lot of clarity come in for me, and space. I think being still and being quiet just gave me space to really kind of let my whole system reset and allow what needs to come in for me for this year. So I've still got a very blank sketchbook. It's still really scary. I've done absolutely nothing with it, as I say. I've come down here today to sort of look around my studio and go, oh my goodness, we've dumped a few things in here over the last few weeks because my daughter's been busy in the outhouses, have been used for other things, and anyway, just general chaos. So I could really do a tidying up in here, but you know what? I really want to get down to something creative, and I really want to make a nice film for you, because I do think it's been a long time. So I'm going to sort of start edging my way into my sketchbook. I don't know how I'm going to do it or what I'm going to do. I've got a theme which is basically autumn. I've got an exhibition coming up with my Fabricate group at Florence Art Centre in Egremont, which is a local lovely old iron ore mine, which I'm sure I've mentioned before. Some of you will have seen the video where I said we had an exhibition there last year, and we've got a theme of 4 seasons, and I think I'm going to just focus on one, which is going to be autumn, because actually I really love doing seed heads and things like that, and I just think, well, you can see I've got some seed heads. You know, I've got seed heads everywhere, seed heads. And I don't know how it's going to work out at all, but I thought, well, if I start in my sketchbook, it's a beginning. And I think that's the most important thing you can do, is first of all, allow yourself the time for creativity. And this is very much going to be a theme for me this year, is making sure that we allow ourselves time for creativity, because it is very relaxing. It's very de-stressing, and it's about you. It's about you expressing yourself, whatever you do, you know, whether you're cooking a delicious dinner, gardening, creating in your garden, writing something, doing music, I don't care what it is, but creativity, I think, is the key to unlock our sort of true selves, if you like. It's about finding who you are, and I think art and life go very much parallel to each other, and I think allowing yourself the time and space is so important, but also listening to your body. I mean, I really listened to my body, and it just said, no, don't go and do anything. And I think that helps me now to be ready, very gently, not pushing anything. So I'm going to set off, I'm going to get some paints out and see what I can create for you today. And I hope you're going to enjoy it. It's lovely to be back. It's lovely to be here with you again. Don't forget, please do subscribe. Give me a thumbs up on if you like the video, and share it with your friends, and that way we'll build a lovely community here. I've got 1,800 people have subscribed, which I find amazing. I think that's absolutely brilliant, and it's spreading the word, and that's lovely. So I'll get on now. Right, so here's my blank sketchbook. Scary as anything. It's actually a pink pig one for those of you who want to know what it is. This one's 8 inches by 8 inches, which is a size that I really like to use. You can eventually take the cover off and put things on the cover as well, or you can just glue things on, and I will try and show you that as well. But just for today, we're just going to cut some pages out of here. This is the most magic thing to do. If you take your pages out, then you can do absolutely anything. Oh, that one's already cut. So here's what I made earlier. So basically you cut up these little bits in between the wires, and then you can just simply take your page out like that. And it means that you can paint to your heart's content, you can print, you can draw, you can stick, you can stitch, which is what I love to do. And then wherever it is in your sketchbook that you want to put it, you can just flip it over and say, well, this page actually goes in here. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to show you is how to make yourself some pages using paper that isn't the normal paper. So I've got some nice brown paper here, which I thought I would just make into a page. It's a way of starting off the sketchbook without even printing it or painting or doing anything else, because it instantly gives you the feeling that you've got something interesting going on. So this is my magic hole punch, just very simple. What you do is you line your pages up here like this, line the edges up, and try and hold it pretty close like that, and then you're just going to punch holes in matching the page. And this is how you make yourself some interesting pages for your sketchbook, which are not necessarily standard paper or a standard size. Okay, and then in order to get them back into your sketchbook, you need to just cut these little bits here like that. And then you see that can now go in here as a page. And yes, it's crumpled. I quite like it crumpled. We can pop that in there, and you've got a nice piece of interesting paper that can fold in. So you can fold it in like that when it comes to actually putting things on it and chucking it back in your sketchbook, and instantly you've created something with a bit of interest, so it's not just a plain blank page. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of my treasures that I've got here. This is a big cardboard box full of bits and pieces from when I've done printing in sketchbooks before. Some of my most valuable things, to be honest, is corrugated cardboard. Corrugated cardboard is gorgeous. If you can strip off the plain side, or sometimes you're lucky and you get it already corrugated, it's lovely for making marks. This is a piece of polystyrene, which you can gouge out and make marks on as well. You could use like a meat tray or something like that. Things. A lot of this is rubbish, okay? A lot of this is stuff that I would just be going to throw out. This is the inside of, it's actually a bag. It's a food bag, you know, like the inside of Tetra Packs or something like that, or some kind of food bag it's got food in. This is a piece of pre-painted newspaper from the last time I did printing, and you see it's got lovely little marks here and there, and it's got bits of colour that I might well use. I keep everything. It's mad, I know. And you may not have this wealth of stuff available to you, but you know, I have to warn you, once you start collecting it, you won't want to throw any packaging away, any brown paper, any tissue. You know, it's just kind of crazy, really. But it means when you come to do something like this, obviously I haven't been through this for ages, to be honest with you. I'm going to just get those out of the way. When it comes to doing printing and painting, it means you've got all sorts of funny little bits to use, which can be quite nice. And it's quite, in a way, if you've got pre-painted things, you can start off with those. You could be sticking those into your pages. So this is a nice piece of packaging again. It's got little squares on it. I guess you could print it from either side. Brown paper never comes in wrong. And just, oh, to be honest, so much stuff in here, I don't know where to start. I obviously haven't tidied this out for a while. You can see this has been pre-painted as well. This is just bubble wrap, which you can paint and make little dots and things. I think most of this is probably paper. This is actually wax paper, which can be quite nice, just maybe stitched in. You could print on it, or you could just tear it. And, you know, crumpled paper is really lovely because you can print with it like that, as I will show you. Oh, bits of lace, you see, painted lace. That's a very valuable piece there that I've got stashed away. So this is a box of treasures, basically. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it'll be very confusing. I always think keep it simple, keep it focused, use less rather than more. Don't try and use absolutely everything you've got in the house, okay? Just keep it simple. Use 2 or 3 little bits, and I find, you know, different themes, if you like, that you're going to be working on will require different kinds of things to make marks with. Oh, there's some of that as well. See, that's quite nice as well. That's got pre-printed paper, which you could use. This is real kind of mixed media stuff, which isn't really me, but, you know, somebody might like that. The other thing that's nice, actually, is things with words on. I've got an old book somewhere which I tear pages out of, or little pieces of newspaper like this that have got pre-printed, you know, just from messing around previously. You know, you can get little bits of words to put in as well. So much choice. So let's look at paints and stuff as well. Okay, so I'm going to just show you this other box of treasures here. Now, I've collected these over a lot of years, okay? I don't expect you to have all these sort of, some people might call it rubbish, in fact, all at once. But if you start looking around your house, you can see all sorts of things quite easily that you can start to do printing with. You know, little pots, sponges, inside of toilet rolls, or cardboard tubes. You know, some of your sewing thread, bobbins, spools, whatever you call them. You know, I've got a collection of lids here. I've got some, I'm not quite sure what I'd do with those, but you could perhaps paint and draw some lines with them. I think they're in for something else, to be honest. I keep all sorts of things which, you know, may or may not be of any use and may or may not like it. Again, that's got a circle on that side and that's got a square on that side, so you could be dabbing and printing with that. I've also got, oh, this is something I was going to try. It's a bit of one of those Koya washing up sponges, and I thought, well, it's got nice patterns and it's got a nice edge. Perhaps I could print with that. What else have we got in here? I've got one of these sort of wiry washing up sponge things, and I thought, well, you know, you could be making marks with that. Sponges, a bit more of the polystyrene that I've gouged out to make patterns on. Oh, that's an interesting little pipetty thing. You could be dribbling paint onto your pages. I've also got a couple of these. Now, you don't have to have these, but these are quite helpful to press the paint onto the pages that you're working with. And of course, you can also put paint on them directly and make marks with them. I've got a little waggly pastry brush cutter thing here that I think it was a toy one from years ago. I've got this. This is lovely. This is something I bought, or it came free in the magazine or something, and it's got the most lovely pattern on it. I don't know if you can see that lovely pattern there. And you can sort of put some of that on. I wouldn't use a lot of it, but I'd use some of it and allow it just to be a gentle, delicate pattern. This is a piece of card that I've stuck some net onto, and you can see I've already had a go at painting it. Some things are more successful than others, I will be honest. This works quite nicely. This is, again, out of like a meat tray or something. And it's got little holes and it's got little squares on it. Bits of lace, more bits of corrugated cardboard, bits of sponge that you can cut into shapes, and just generally a right load of old bits and bobs. Oh, there you go. That's the polystyrene one that I haven't painted yet, but I've just made some gougy marks on it with, I don't know, a pair of scissors or I don't know, something pointy. I've got this, that could be, make nice lines or marks. So there's all sorts in here. I'm not going to use it all, as I say, because I think it's a bit bewildering. But you know, you don't have to collect all of this stuff. This is, as I say, it's been collected over years. And the inevitable bubble wrap, which is also useful. Oh, I did quite fancy, I've been, this is another piece of packaging that I've been quite fancying having a go with. Isn't that lovely? I just adore this. I can't decide whether to, you know, turn it into some sort of corset or something. It's just beautiful. I just love it. It just sits there and I look at it. You know, don't have to use everything you've got. You can just enjoy it, looking at it, if you're as mad as I am. Right, the other thing I was going to talk about was like paints, etc. Now I've got my box of paints is just here. I shall just have everything piled up here. Honestly, if you can see my studio today, it's all a bit bonkers. But I'm just determined. I want to get back to filming. It's so nice. I've missed you all. I've missed talking to you. You know, it's been a big gap. So these are just bog standard acrylic paints. I've had these for years again, and I'm slowly using them up. I've got a lot of different colours. You can water them down, you know, you can use them neat. They're really quite useful. I've got some nice brushes, quite thick often because I'm just going to be slapping the paint on quite quickly. Nothing too detailed necessarily, but you could have some fine ones for doing little dots or very fine lines. I'm going to try this one today. This one's a little bit been glued or painted and not washed properly, so it's got a nice edge to it. So I might try see what that does. It might be a nice scratchy sort of edge to it. In here I've got my Inktense crayons, which might be do marking and writing with perhaps. And in here, these are my favourites. I have to say I love these. These are Reeves water soluble wax pastels. As you can see, they've been well used. They get a bit wet when you know, they kind of come off on your fingers when you get them wet, but they are really useful for, say, if you want to mark this up, you can wet this and then just mark it up like that. And they're just lovely on your pages for colouring in if you don't want to use paints as such. So I think the best thing to do really is get to the fun bit. Oh no, the last thing I was going to show you was my little sketchbook that is what I'm going to be sort of working from a little bit today. This is one of my walking sketchbooks. It's very small. It's a sea white little eco sketchbook. I put that in my back pocket, and when I go out for a walk I do drawings. So in here I happen to know I've got lots of sort of seed head marks and marks of the hedgerows. It's kind of a wintry autumn. Having said that, that's very green, but that's moss. You know, just interesting shapes and things which I can perhaps draw on for doing some marks into my main sketchbook that I'm going to work on now. It's awfully useful. I do love doing this because you can just go out and just spend 5 minutes with a pen or a pencil, quick little sketch, and then you've got the pleasure to look out. You know, the days you don't go out for a walk, you've got the pleasure of looking at your little sketchbook. And as I say, it's quite a useful resource for when I'm doing something like this. Drawing from the landscape directly, however you do it, whatever manner you do it in, however big, however small, it helps you to feel the landscape. I feel it helps you really connect with it, and it makes you very observant, and then that kind of feeds into what you're going to be creating, whatever medium you're going to use. So time to get slapping some paint around, I think.